In a recent video, I went through how I combine weight training and calisthenics, and while we know that we can build significant muscle through bodyweight training alone, there are certain gaps that we can leave ourselves exposed to if we solely focus on training in this way. This video will not just be exercises that we can substitute for your more typical bodyweight movements. Resistance training is resistance training, and as long as you're getting sufficient progressive overload, your body will adapt and won't care whether it comes in the form of weights or body weight. That being said, there are some exercises that we cannot get away from the fact where using weights yields better results. So today we're going to go through the best weights exercises for calisthenics training and calisthenics skill work. Let's get into it. How you doing, Cali Crowd? Welcome back to the channel that makes calisthenics simple. Jumping straight into it with the first weights exercise that complements a calisthenics training methodology, and that is cable step outs. Rotation is something that is missing from many athletes training, and when it comes to calisthenics, this is even more pronounced as so many bodyweight movements operate in the sagittal plane. Up, down, forwards, backwards. This is how we usually move in calisthenics, leaving a lot to be desired when it comes to rotation. The cable step out is actually an anti-rotation movement, and the reason that we prioritize this is that the main job of the muscles that make up the core is to prevent movement rather than create it. With cable step outs, we have to work hard to resist the forces encouraging rotation of the upper body. This supplements the typical core exercises in bodyweight training that are more to do with trunk flexion, and in the context of calisthenics skills will help with ensuring our whole core is strong. Skills like the human flag, for example, require us to be super strong in resisting lateral trunk flexion, so bending from side to side. And actually, by training to resist rotation, we get the lateral trunk flexion benefits for free. The next exercise that will do wonders for your calisthenics training is actually a little bit of a curveball, and that is the Romanian deadlift. We mentioned that many bodyweight exercises occur within the sagittal plane, but even more so than this, it's sagittal plane movements driven by anterior chain muscles. The muscles on the front of the body do the lion's share of the heavy lifting in calisthenics, with the exception of perhaps the upper back. And if we want to achieve balance, there is no better exercise for working the posterior chain than the Romanian deadlift. Now, you may be asking yourself, why should I be doing Romanian deadlifts if all my calisthenics goals require me to have lighter legs in order to achieve them? Well, for one, control of the hips is a key aspect of many bodyweight exercises, which cannot happen if one side of them is significantly weaker than the other. We also get a loaded stretch of the hamstrings. More flexible hamstrings means that we need less strength to perform skills like the L-sit or the press to handstand. In skills like the back lever and planche, seeing how a strong posterior chain can be advantageous is quite obvious. But for anybody who has ever done a front lever, the hip hinge and arm position of a deadlift is actually an extremely relevant position. The third exercise that we can use to supercharge our calisthenics training is actually two exercises that I've grouped together, and they are the bicep curl and the tricep extension. Elbow issues are rampant amongst calisthenics athletes, and it usually comes from the problem that it takes our connective tissue significantly longer to recover than our muscles do. The bicep curl and tricep extension not only provide an exercise that can grow these muscles, but provides an element of conditioning due to the ease at which we can scale the intensity of these movements. In calisthenics, bent arm exercises are often done with the full weight of the body or not at all, and even the easiest variations of straight arm movements require an intensity that can be very difficult to sustain long term. With both these exercises being elbow dominant, we facilitate the strength gains that we need to achieve our long-term goals. The next exercise that we'll go through is one that we've spoken a lot on this channel, and it is the Z press. Overhead pressing adds the need to have decent shoulder flexion mobility to our vertical pushing work. And actually, of all the overhead pressing weight exercises, it is the Z press that takes the cake when it comes to strengthening this pattern. With most weights exercises, you don't get a lot of direct transferability to the bodyweight equivalent movement. But with the way the Z press negates the use of the legs compared to, say, the military press, and actually introduces an element of core compression, we can see how this could be used to benefit anybody with hand balancing goals, or to be used as a stopgap to exercises such as pike push-ups. Crowd, the dogmatic approach of weight training versus calisthenics training has no real relevance when you have a well-rounded approach to training in general. Doing both makes it easier to avoid plateaus and keep pushing the limits that we're capable of. But if you're keen to see how I incorporate weights into my calisthenics focused training, then check out this video.